What is going on, everyone? Welcome back into the Oregon Live Show right here on the Oregon Channel, the voice of college football. It appears to just be the two sexy ones right here. Top-notch performance for you guys tonight. How you doing, Spaz?
I'm all right. I'm a little buzzed, but I'm doing good.
Aren't you so excited?
Yeah, man. I I had to run home from the bar for my cousin's birthday. She, why do I keep saying wedding? I must be drunk. Um. Anyways, yeah. Because it was Civil War week, and I was like, nope, can't miss that one.
No, this is the week that we always, I mean, almost every fan looks forward to. And obviously, we have some more details to go into about that. And we have to get to that because that's obviously the whole point of this week. But I wanted to bring attention to, and I didn't see it till today. We're a day late. I do want to give a quick shout out to, where did that tab go?
You
There we
ate it.
go. Happy birthday, Camden Lewis. Apparently it was yesterday. We are a day late.
Uh,
But happy birthday, Camden Lewis. Kicker, don't break our hearts, please. And
yeah.
the
Well,
other was that.
hopefully he doesn't break us on
Oh,
Friday.
I don't think we're going to have to worry about that. Hopefully. I also want to give a very quick shout out as we gave props and praise on after the ASU game. But congratulations also. Why is that on a ticker? That's not supposed to be a ticker. God. Congratulations to Troy Franklin, also. Blitnikoff Awards semifinalist today, or named today or yesterday for the year. So he is in the top, I believe, is it the top 10? I think it is. Where did my list go? There it is. Yeah, the Blitnikoff Award list right now is Luther Burden III of Missouri, Keon Coleman of Florida State, Troy Franklin, Oregon, of course, Marvin Harrison Jr., Ohio State, of course, Xavier Leggett of South Carolina, Malik Neighbors of LSU, and of course Roma Dunze of Washington, and then Brian Thomas Jr. of LSU also. That might knock the LSU people out if they have two of them on the same team. Malik Washington of Virginia as well, and I think I missed one. Oh yeah, sorry, and Brock Bowers for Georgia, even though he's one of the few tight ends on this list. But those
Yeah,
are your
can't forget Brock Bowers. That guy's a stud.
yeah, those are your semifinalists uh, as of November 20th for the year. That's a pretty good list, and there's a lot of names that were on here that fell off. So, congratulations to Troy Franklin though for making that final cut there for the semifinalist list thus far. I do want to take a second though, as it is Civil War week, but you know, it's always important to kind of look back now that we've had some time to think about it and kind of recap the ASU game as maybe you've gone back, rewatched the game, watched the highlights, listened to a bunch of critiques and different things. And do you have any kind of other thoughts on the ASU game there, Spaz?
No, I think we handled business. We did what we had to do. We went down there and in the first half put the game away, and that's what you got to do against teams like that. You got to put the game away, and I think that's what we got to do Friday too. Is this team is upset. They're angry at the way they lost that game last year. And I believe this game on Friday will probably be pretty close to that score, somewhere around that area. I just think this team is on a mission. And with Washington moving to number 4 today, that really makes it that much more of a proponent for them to go in and take care of business.
You just covered 3 things in one question. I like that. Yeah, no, I agree. The ASU game, there wasn't a whole lot to talk about even after that game. And that's exactly what we didn't expect it to be, maybe necessarily that bad in the first half as it really was when it was 42-0 at halftime. But that's exactly what this team should do to a team like Arizona State, with all due respect to Kenny Dillingham, obviously in his first year there, and what was left behind for him to have to handle and deal with. But that's exactly what Oregon should do, and they did. So, whatever. Gave up 13 points to a touchdown, 2 field goals to the backups, in the second half. Whatever. Not that big of a deal.
No. Man, where's the rest of our crew? They're fired.
I was about to fire all of you because you showed up 25 seconds before we were supposed to go live after I bumped the show 10 minutes ago. I was like, they're all fired. All of you are fired. I'm clipping that as a short. Imagine.
I know, right?
I think that's why this week, especially this week, is so important, and it's amazing that more people aren't here to a degree. It's a holiday week, though. We note that, we acknowledge that it's a holiday week. It's one of those weird weeks where you never know what people are doing. People are traveling. Thanksgiving's Thursday. This is Tuesday. Some people might be like flying today to get somewhere by it's not, tonight, or starting to drive to get back tomorrow. But I think that's the main question, though, Spaz, is this is important because this is maybe the final civil war for the foreseeable future. This literally could be it.
Yeah.
For at least 3 or 4 years.
But I believe they're going to get that fixed.
Well, and that's what we were going to talk about that. But I mean, like, this is the 127th meeting in the Civil War. I mean, this is the game of the year, for Oregon State, really, whether they have something to play for or not. And obviously this year, Oregon State has a lot to play for because Oregon's leaving, and still Pride. And Oregon has a lot to play for as in conference title hopes. Actually, like last year. Last year we had conference title hopes were on the, or the conference championship game, rather, was on the line last year in this game.
Yeah.
So he's still fired.
Still fired.
Go ahead and fire me. It's fine. At least the other Sean's here.
Yeah. Are you in your prison gear?
No prison gear today.
This last week, it looked like you were sitting there behind him, waiting for them to take the picture.
Hey, I just try to have a blank wall, all right?
Well, then what do you think, Sean? I mean, is this maybe the last Civil War for 3 or 4 years, you think? I mean, right now, as it stands, it is.
I mean, as it stands right now, yeah, but I don't foresee it being the last Civil War. No, I mean, we could use that Hawaii exception next year to maybe book Oregon State as that 13th game and kind of keep it going.
Well, that's something we talked about. We did talk about it on the Sunday show, and that's why Spad's like, well, no, because of this, because I brought it up on our Sunday show. It's the only way he has the knowledge. He cheats. He takes what I say and he uses it for himself.
It's going to be the Boise State exception game.
That's what they've talked about, because if people didn't know, Washington State have already extended for 5 years already. That's why I'm like, I think it's only a matter of like a couple weeks, and Oregon State will announce some agreement also. If Washington State can do it, Oregon State can do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think we kind of have to. Like, you've been doing this for over 100 years. There's no reason not to continue it.
Yeah, next year, I don't know if we can bounce week 0, because we'd either have to then change the entire layout of all the other games, or Oregon State would have to add a week 0 to match with us. So I think we'd have to get rid of one of the other ones, like week 3 or something like that. Maybe. I'd have to look at the Big Ten schedule again. I can't remember it directly off the top of my head what the Big Ten schedule is for Oregon next year. But I know we're supposed to have Hawaii week 0.
Yeah.
Hawaii, and then like I don't know who else.
So I don't think you can just bump week 0 because that would change all the other schedules. I think, unless you cut out a bye or something like that. I think I don't know. It's probably the Boise State one. It's probably most likely. Just bump that a few years, or just buy
It's
out
the Boise State game, I'm sure.
Well,
yeah, I think using that exception though with Hawaii, that gives you that extra bye week, but we may want to play 13 games next year from what I've been reading.
Which, let me see.
Which I think that would kind of screw around with everything, the Big Ten schedule, and
that's what I mean. You'd have to like adjust like everything because that schedule's set now. I think they would be pissed if we did something and they had to adjust it again. I think that would be really annoying for everyone, and I would understand that. Not that. I went way too far. 2025. I'm looking at 2024. There it is. Yes. 2024, we have at Hawaii. Then we have Idaho. Then we host Idaho, host Texas Tech, host Boise. So there's our 4 non-con right there. And then we get into all Big Ten like UCLA, Michigan State, Ohio State. So I think it would have to be bump Boise because Texas Tech finish off the home and home with them. And just bump Boise.
You push out a little bit.
Yeah, I think, bump Boise. Most likely, but that's just looking at this schedule.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, definitely bump Boise out of there. Like, who needs Boise State?
Yeah, I mean, keep finish off the home and home with Texas Tech as planned. That's fine. So most likely will be at Boise. So that's why I think we're waiting to see what happens because I mean, there's a lot of legal stuff that goes into that, rescheduling, buyouts, all that stuff. So,
Jesus,
we'll have to wait and see. But at this moment, as far as we know, unless something comes out before Friday, this literally is the last Civil War until something comes up. Wow, you guys are really into this right now.
Yeah, sorry, it's been a long day.
And outside of obviously potentially being the last Civil War, obviously we know there's a bunch of importance to this game, not just because it's a Civil War, maybe the last one in the rivalry that we can see for the foreseeable future. But I mean, there's a lot riding on this game for both.
Yeah,
still.
Seriously, a lot riding.
And not just the Platypus Trophy.
Screw the platypus. I want the CFP. I want that Dr. Pepper title.
Well, this doesn't give us the Dr. Pepper, the CFP at all, let alone a title.
No, but if we win this game, it guarantees us, if we beat Washington, it guarantees us that spot.
As much as I want to say it guarantees, I'm still a little, at this moment, until we see a couple other things happen, I'm a little skeptical.
It's Oregon, Michigan, which is exactly what I want.
Well, I'm still a little skeptical about that because we still have potentially an undefeated Florida State.
Florida State is going to be lucky.
Then you would have a 13-1, a 12-1, and 12-1, or 12-1 and 11-1, Bama and Georgia. Then you'd have 11 and 12, 13, potentially 13-0 and a 11-1.
Bama is not beating Georgia.
I'm saying what I'm saying is that then you'll have that. I'm just saying if those scenarios happen.
Sure.
So this is not a guarantee that you get there. That's what I'm trying to say.
No.
Well,
But
that's what you said. You're like, I want the natty. I want the title. I'm getting in there right now because it's guaranteed at that point we get in. I'm like, that's not a
if
guarantee.
you beat Oregon State by at least 2 scores and Washington wins the Apple Cup, you pretty much guarantee the winner of that Oregon-Washington Pac-12 title game is in.
You're forgetting that there could be a 11 or a 12-1 Texas.
It don't matter. They ain't getting,
they beat Bama on the road. So you do have to think about that too. That's why I said there are multiple scenarios where you could have these like 2 to 3 one-loss teams and a couple undefeateds or one-loss champions with the prior undefeated right behind it with one loss. There's a lot of. It's going to be hard to keep, but I mean, you're talking. Then you have multiple Power 5 champions, and who's going to get what?
I think Texas gets beat in the Big 12 title game. That's just my opinion. Whether it be K-State, Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, whoever it may be, I think Texas gets beat in the Big 12. That eliminates them.
Well,
Ohio State, Michigan.
Whoever
loses,
you think
is eliminated.
That's the difference. Wait till we get to Chaos Weekend, Chaos Tuesday, where they have to decide, and Oregon is like number 5.
Oregon going in. If they beat Washington and Oregon State, Oregon is going in.
I'm not against that because if you look at who everyone has left, Florida State has Florida, who is bad, but could lose to Florida. Just
it's a rivalry game.
Yeah,
new quarterback.
Florida.
Yeah.
But then they would play if they win that. Then they'll play a high as long as Louisville doesn't lose to Kentucky. Then they'd play a number 9, number 8 Louisville for the title for the ACC championship. Obviously, Michigan State, Iowa. I don't remember Iowa's ranking. Not the greatest competition for a title game, but they'd have a win over either Ohio State or Michigan, whoever goes. Then, which it's going to be Bama versus Georgia, so you're going to have unless someone slips up like Alabama loses to Auburn or something this weekend, you're going to have a top 7 matchup right there, probably number 1 versus like number 7. Then you could have Oregon, as long as we both do what we need to do. You'll have a number 4 versus number 5 or 6 for the time. So you see, you're going to get these strength matchups, and I guess it could be who looks the most impressive these last 2 weeks, or just in the championship game.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm dependent. I don't worry about that. I'm not talking Iowa getting into the CFP. I'm just saying Iowa has locked up the West. They're going to the Big Ten title game at this point. As far as I'm concerned, it's going to be Iowa. I'm just assuming it's going to be Iowa. I think they've already locked it up, if I'm not mistaken.
Where'd Sean go?
I don't know. He went off cam and then he dropped out.
Cookie
He'll probably pop back up.
The Cookie Monster ate him.
So that's it. The importance of this game, I think, one, of course, is Civil War. So for both teams, one, it's pride, of course. For Oregon, it's revenge for last year. For the Beavers, they won't say it is, but it's a little bit of like a final screw you to the Ducks for leaving.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then for Oregon, it's to, like last year, play in the Pac-12 championship game, which last year we lost and we got eliminated. If we lose this, Arizona most likely will go.
Ugh. I don't even want to think about that.
Isn't that shocking to think? Who, like, even 5 weeks ago would have said Arizona
is as
go to the Pac-12
title. Yeah. Nobody.
Pac-12 title. I think I said. Did I say Big 12? I think maybe I did say Big 12. The Pac-12.
That's next year for Arizona.
Yeah, I was like, no one ever. I don't think anyone saw that coming 5 weeks ago. That's craziness. Well, speaking of, I'm not going over the Big 12 title standings either. That was crazy. We talked about that on Sunday. The tiebreaker scenarios. I was like, holy shit, that's a mess.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that was kind of what we were going over. We were kind of fighting for it. It really comes down to what happens with a lot of the other teams, and then maybe, like I said, even who looks the most impressive. Like if Oregon beats Oregon State by like 3 or 4 scores, and then does the same to Washington in a top 4 versus 5, 4 versus 6 matchup in a revenge game. Yeah, there's still potential. It depends on how everyone else looks and what happens. What other teams lose? When do they lose? Who do they lose to? How badly do they lose? There's a lot of different scenarios that go into it. So I haven't said we're a lock for the playoff, but it definitely helps. We have to finish strong. We have to win both games. That's first and foremost. You have to take Oregon State and Washington, beat both of them. There's no guarantee still, but that would suck on a good year like this to finish that strong and then miss a playoff. For whoever does, that would suck.
Yeah, somebody shoot me if that happens.
Yeah. If everyone just finishes as on pace how it's supposed to go, it's well, that's not SHU. That's not SHU dependent because Texas is only playing Texas Tech, who's unranked, and then they're going to play, I guess, whoever, maybe an Oklahoma or Oklahoma State or Kansas State, which isn't exactly the highest ranked thing. So now Oregon's already ahead of Texas. So Oregon would have a win over a higher ranked Washington than whoever Texas plays. So at this point, the committee already values Oregon over Texas, regardless of that Alabama win. So
exactly,
we got to finish the season. But at the point where the committee has everything, obviously they favor Oregon more. I'm going to guess it's more in the eye test of how they've looked over other teams compared to like Texas squeaking by some of these other teams. That's what I'm going to guess. Like the UCF game, or was it Houston, where they got by 7, and even against Iowa State, which they still won by 10, but it took till the very end. And yeah. No. This would be a great year for a 12-team playoff. Because just think, Louisville's not going to get invited to the party if they beat Florida State and are 12-1 and ACC champions. They're not getting invited to the party. But just imagine if there was a 12. It'd be a great year for a 12 team.
Yeah, it'd be a great. This year would be great for a 12 team.
Yeah, that'd be.
But we all know that's not going to happen.
Yeah, so we're going to have to see how this goes. We're just, first and foremost, got to get through the Beavers. And like we said.
No, they won't. Get your Michigan blue blood drama out because Texas will not be ahead.
I know we already talked about this, Baz. I pulled up the comment. We talked about it for like 4 minutes. You've been on your phone. It's like we've been on your phone. That's why I said Oregon's already ahead of Texas. So they obviously value how Oregon plays more than the Alabama win. But
what is up?
I don't know. He's having some connection issues.
You having issues?
Yeah, I was having technical difficulties here.
Yeah, you are technical difficulty.
Hey, so are you, so I don't want to hear it.
So the one thing that doesn't bother me this year is, I mean, again, I'd like to say I was confident last year. I think all of us were very confident playing Oregon State last year. We were like, Oregon State's pretty good, but we've got this. And well, we had the game. Then they just ran it down our throats. And then Nix, of course, was injured last year with his ankle, so that didn't help the situation. So we have to look at what am I trying to do? There we go. That's what I wanted to do. So if we're going up by team comparison, obviously the only thing that bothers me is I'm not sure on the line right now. The line is, I think, still 13.5 Oregon. Some people think that's a big line, but some people don't think that's a big line. So I'm not necessarily a gambler or a betting guy, but
I don't necessarily think that's a big line, especially with how we've been playing.
yeah, I think it's more it's because of the rivalry aspect of it. You know, you never know what can happen. So it's kind of like,
Yeah, especially like you were saying last year, like being up like 33 to like 13 or something at halftime, and then running it
something like
straight
that,
down
31,
across.
13, something like that. Exactly. So it's like anything in these games can happen. And I mean, the Beavers are just doing what Beavers do. I mean, I know DJU has been an upgrade for them. And it's not like he has bad stats. You know, he still has a 20-6 touchdown interception ratio, but I don't think he just does what they need him to do, you know, in that system.
You guys suck.
He's not there to like put up huge numbers.
No, he's really not. Like, I mean, you got Damian Martinez as well, who is averaging over 20 carries a game at the least. So DJ's been a big upgrade at quarterback for him.
With
Keep
the
PG stats. But when you also have a strong running back in the backfield, then what do you kind of expect DJ to do? Like, he's going to put up the numbers he's put up when you have a strong running game as well.
Well, and it's not like their losses have been like most disastrous or something. I mean, they lost by 3 at Arizona, and they lost by 2 to Washington, and whatever their other loss was. Wazoo was probably the most inexplicable loss. That was the one that was a head scratcher.
I just have one question, Ben.
Yeah.
One question. Is this Mark Rogers guy ever going to show up on one of our shows?
No.
I see him on all these other shows, but he seems to be afraid to come on the Oregon Live show.
Mark is a busy man.
He fails to talk real sports, real football with real teams. He's behind that fake ass Ohio State team.
Spaz about to get himself fired.
It won't be by me. Well, it might also be by me. It might be like a double whammy. Mark will fire you, and then I'll email and just be like, "Hey, don't worry about the post game this week."
I just want to have a great. I want to have.
I think Mark enjoys having other people. Just side note here for people. Mark enjoys to once in a while have a night off where he's not also filming and editing other videos for his normal regular uploads. So he enjoys to have like a night off once in a while.
But it's always on our nights, man. He'll show up on Trojan Conquest.
Why do you think if Mark really wanted a night off, why did he allow me for 2 seasons in a row to host Sunday night shows? That's how badly he wants a night off. If he gives me control of his channel on Sunday nights.
I mean, the guy shows up on all these Trojan shows. Come on, man. They haven't been relevant in 5 years.
Yeah, but they get views.
Yeah, because they're all from California.
Yeah. All right. Everyone has to start a petition on Twitter for Mark to start coming on the Oregon shows.
Yeah.
Damn it. Movement.
At least once. Come in and argue his knowledge on Ohio State and Oregon.
Spaz is definitely getting fired fired by Mark. He calls him out on Sunday nights and on Tuesday nights now.
Just saying.
That's why I
I've been
don't say
calling him
anything
out
about
on
Mark.
Trojan Conquest, and he wouldn't respond.
What do you think, Spaz, though, this game? What do you think of the team comparisons? Because obviously the Beavers do what it's called Beaver Ball. It is just run,
And like Tim
pass,
Lanning
run,
said in his
pass,
press
run.
conference, they try to run it right up the middle. And I don't think you're going to have that success against the front seven of Oregon. You're just not going to. Our front four and our linebackers are pretty solid against the run this year. I don't see Martinez or Fenwick getting big chunks like they did against UW.
Yeah, well, and the UW game that one was so hard to. It was so hard to make any sort of comparison to because of the weather. The weather was just that game was ugly.
Brutal.
That game was ugly. I mean, there were just fumbles everywhere because of it. I mean,
But we're talking, it's supposed to be 55 degrees at
And clear.
kickoff, down to 35 towards the end of the game.
but clear weather otherwise.
Clear weather. There's no rain in the forecast for Friday. So I think we're going to smash the hell out of OSU this year. Too many guys, Lanning, Bo, Bucky, guys that Tiefer, guys that played last year are angry at what happened, and they are not going to let that happen on their home turf. They're just not. This is a different team this year.
And the last time the Beavers beat Oregon at Autzen was only once in the last however many years, and that was 2016. That was Oregon's worst season, obviously, because that got
7 years ago now.
Because 2016 got Helfrich fired. That's how bad the season was. That was the last time they won at Autzen since 08, 07?
Something like that, yeah.
Somewhere around there, I think, is the last time they beat us at Autzen. I'm going to guess 07, just because I don't know if we were at Autzen 07, but that was because, the downfall that year at the end after Dixon went down.
Well, it's every other year, so this year,
I'm not trying to do it in my head. You take a second, you do it in your head.
It would be 08.
08, okay. It was like one of those years. So we have.
I can definitely agree with what Spaz is saying though about trying to run, because that is what the Beavers want to do. They want to run it up the middle. You've got Dorless in there. You've got Justin. You've got Jordan Birch. Like, you've got a lot of dudes up in there that are going to be hard to run on, even if you want to try to get to the outside. Like, it's shown this year that we've got that speed there to kind of even catch up to you on the outside and not let you run all over us.
Well, I mean, I will definitely 100% agree with you guys in the sense of those types of things. One of the big things was, though, last year, what was the strength of our defense?
Last year?
The rush defense. We gave up less than 100 yards a game until the Beaver game. Yeah. So I know this is a different group. I was trying to see our statistics on our averages this year for running, and I'm not finding it right this second. Screw it. But last year that was our strength. But this is a different team, different set of people up front. Obviously, I think more depth and bigger guys that fit the scheme to stop more of that stuff, and probably have more, I guess, stamina. than last year. I just don't want us to do what we did last year, where you get up on that lead and then just kind of sit back. But again, as long as Nick isn't injured like last year, I don't think we have to worry about that. I
Yeah,
think that's what
another
killed
one.
us last year, was because Nick couldn't do half of what he needed to do.
Yeah, and I think that'll play a big part too. I mean, we've seen it play a big part in last year of him trying to be able to throw, make the deeper throws to like Franklin, things like that last year. So I think, with Bo being healthy this year and us being safe, I mean, you could have easily just kept Bo in for the whole game last week, but be safe than sorry, especially what happened last year and kind of where we're at right now.
Yeah, Buzzer Baby says it very well too.
Yeah, I just saw it too. It's like, and last week, we'll get into our like score predictions too. As soon as they were like, hey, he's got 6 touchdowns, he's tied the record. I was like, oh shit, now they're gonna bring him back in the third so he can try to set the record. I was like, damn it, to kill my score, and almost got it. But I think
He
at this
did
point,
have the ref screwed him.
I think at this point, I'm actually not terribly upset with that PI call. Ferguson did just kind of both handed, maybe not aggressively, but I see why they called it. It wasn't like the most egregious call in the world. But I think that's a key thing, which kind of turning in a little bit of key of the games here, keys to the game, because this is not necessarily a key to winning this game, but it could be. Bo Nix racking up the stats, not because of this game or just to win this game, but to help solidify the Heisman potentially.
I honestly don't think he needs it. I mean, compare him to Jaden Daniels, which a lot of people have this year. Jaden Daniels has had to play all 4 quarters. And I feel like the committee is going to look at that as well of what has Bo done in 6 to 8 less quarters than Jaden Daniels has.
Well, and I don't mean he's going to keep him in there all 4 quarters just to keep throwing the ball an extra 100 yards. I mean, like, he's going to put the foot on the gas the first 2.5 quarters, blow out the scoreboard, and then pull Nix just to give him, because he is the front runner right now. So at this point, win and just try to pad a little on top just to make it look a little bit better. Just
I mean,
if he had set the school record,
I mean,
if he had set that school record for touchdown, that'd be one more notch kind of in his accomplishment list.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, definitely, like, obviously going back to Jaden Daniels, like, he's got one more throwing touchdown, at least 5 more rushing, but it's not like we need Bo to rush at all.
Yeah.
That's what we got Bucky and Jordan James for. Like, as far as like passing stats go, like they're almost equal. So maybe pad a little stats here and there, whether that be passing yards, touchdowns, whatever it may be, and then kind of pull him to kind of solidify that. Like, yes, F the Heisman, but
Yeah, and it's not about the Heisman. It's about winning, get to the championship, win the Pac-12, and go from there. But if he can get the Heisman in this process by solidifying, by throwing a couple extra touchdowns on top of it, Dan Lanning will let him do that. And that's it. Rushing, I was like, how much rushing does Nix have this year? I was like, it can't be more than 200 tops. Yeah, it's 128.
No, he doesn't have a lot this year.
It's 128.
yeah, and like
Because they have not run him at all almost. A few QB sneaks and a couple of those like designed quarterback like kind of power runs for first down. That's about it.
Nothing major. He hasn't really had to run the yak yet this year.
Yeah, he's hardly even scrambled for much because he hasn't had to, which has been quite impressive. That's helped him really healthy.
Whereas Daniels is always scrambling, having to run outside the pocket.
Yeah, because I mean, last year he put up, what was it, like 800 yards of rushing almost before he got hurt.
Like
I think
yeah,
five, somewhere between like 500 and 600 to 800 yards or something last year.
Yeah, he ran for quite a bit last year. I think it was 7 something.
That might have been what it was. I know it was definitely in the high numbers, and then he got hurt, and then he stopped running.
Yeah.
Of course.
Got hurt in that Washington game. That was the tail of our season.
But
The only reason Washington beat us too.
Yeah, I think that's the whole point, though. Is he doesn't need to put up stats, but I think just like that touchdown record, Dan knew it was there, so he tried to let him have it. He tried to give it to him. Like, why not? One more little notch on the belt for the season. So,
well, I mean, why not kind of solidify yourself as, hey, this is like I am the Heisman winner at this point, because we know if we win, obviously we're in the Pac-12 championship. LSU is sitting at home waiting to figure out what bowl game they're going to.
yeah, I mean,
And then you obviously kind of beat Washington in the Pac-12 championship too. Like,
yeah, because and the funny thing is, since we're just on this, a lot of people go, well, how is he above Penix? Penix beat him. But if you look at that game, Bo did nothing wrong didn't do anything like wrong to lose that game.
No.
It was just not the right play calls. Stein and Lanning both said, yeah, we still would have gone for it. We would have just picked better plays. And that was on them. That wasn't Nick's fault.
well, and even looking at the numbers, Nick outplayed Penix in that game. So,
yeah, and it's not like he had a fatal turnover or something in the end that cost it or anything like that. There was no turnover. So, and that's a good point too. We've been saying, I'd like to see Bo run a little bit more. And I think that's something they're saving. If they don't have to do it, I don't think they're doing it. They're trying to let him throw it and show just being go through his progressions. But I think they have probably a couple pages of trick running plays for Bo
that they haven't even used yet. Exactly.
honestly, there's probably quite a few different design running plays that we have for Bo that we haven't used because we haven't needed to at all because of the fact that wide receivers
it's
are
like a back
separation.
page that needs to get dusted off, like come the championship game especially, and moving forward. If they need to, if they don't need to use it in the championship game, even if we get there, then save it for like potential playoff or like a New Year's Six, whatever the result is.
Kind of show the scouts what Bo can do for the NFL.
Yeah, I think he's going to go to your Patriots there, Patriot kid.
I mean, I'd love it, but I don't know. We'll see.
So what do you have besides the fact of, I think that's one of the keys to the game is the potential still for, to kind of help lock up the Heisman. So it's those stats. So I think that's going to tell us, they're going to do whatever they can to get him yards. Let him try to rub the score as much as they can. But what are the other keys to this game, whether it be for the Beavers against the Ducks or vice versa? Because, each team has some areas of weakness. The Ducks are not perfect. We have our own issues. Luckily, we're at home.
I mean, really, I think for us, too, it is stopping Damian Martinez, DJ, kind of stopping that run game a little bit because of the fact that we all know that that's what they're going to want to do. That's how they won last year. They're going to come in again this year and probably want to do a whole lot of the same thing. I do think we're more well-equipped and more physical up front, especially in the front seven, to kind of handle it a lot more this year. I also, we going back to the comment of Dan doesn't take his foot off the gas like we did last year. We can't let that happen again because of the fact that we could see another situation like last year where it comes down to they're just running up and down the field on us.
Yeah, I just think that this year is a little different. We're not gonna give up 20 consecutive run plays. And I think Dan is on a different mission this year. I think the team's on a different mission, and I don't see them dropping this game at all. I honestly see this. I think we win by 17 plus.
I think that is one of the things. I have to agree with you though, Sean, in this is I think it is. It's stop the running game, but put pressure on DJ. Because so far, when DJ's under pressure, he has made some dumb decisions. He is not. Now he can run the ball, but when he's thrown it under pressure, it's not always been a good thing for the Beavers. And I think pressuring DJ is probably one of those key things. So that just means we have to make sure pressure and just have good coverage in the secondary.
Well, and I think for the Beavers too. I mean, I don't want to go on to that side, but you got to stop our run game. You got to stop Troy. You got to stop Tez, Gary Bryant. Like, you just got to slow us down. If that means you got to make Bo run, and we kind of show that on pass plays where Bo has to run, then maybe make Bo try to kill you with his feet, even though we know he can do it.
I'd have to agree with that too. I think the Beavers, the last thing they need to worry about is trying to pressure Nix, almost, because they need to worry about containing him, because they can't even. What is the worst pressure Nix has faced this year? Texas Tech.
Yeah.
I think Texas Tech and that O-line was new in their second game on the road in Lubbock. That was probably the most disastrous performance by the O-line thus far. And even then, it wasn't terrible, but they allowed quite a bit of pressure where Bo actually had to run.
I'd say a little bit of Washington too, maybe more in the second half. The O-line gave up a little bit, but all game, definitely Texas Tech for sure.
That's a good question too. Yeah, here, and I'd say Texas. I think Texas Tech is the worst one so far this year. When was the last time Bo was sacked? Did ASU technically sack him at the end of the beginning of the third quarter on that final play before they were going to try the field goal?
Was that a sack? A sack at that point.
Okay, he was scrambling backwards and tried to get away, but they caught him. So I guess that was the last sack, and that was his fifth of the year.
Yeah, before that, I think it was Washington. I think they had a sack in that game.
So once in 5 weeks, yeah. Oh, probably. That sounds about right. Once in 4 or 5 weeks. That's pretty good. And that was on a scramble, trying to just make something happen, and he just got caught. So it happens to every quarterback eventually.
I'm gonna give my score prediction, because I got to bounce real soon. I got other stuff going on. It's holiday week, and
we haven't even gotten to your.
I don't even know what my breaking news is.
It's breaking news from Spaz.
Oh,
because he's breaking tradition. He has to give a score prediction on his own time.
Tyler Shuck could come back to Oregon next year.
Oh God, no. Okay, we're ending this segment.
Yeah, no. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
No. I
don't
want that.
It was reported today that there's 5 teams that he could possibly go to, and Oregon is one of them.
Yeah, but that's because they're looking at the departure of Nix. So they're just thinking of top teams that might look for a QB. I don't think Chuck would go back to Oregon. And honestly, I'm sorry, I've still never been impressed with Chuck.
Me neither.
And now he's more injury prone, probably.
Yeah.
I was more in line, honestly, if Rising was transferring. I was like, we'll take Cam Rising.
Yeah, no.
I'll take that tank.
I'll take Kellen Daniels from Kansas, though.
No, he's going back to Kansas, apparently.
Is he?
Yeah, he said he's going to return to Kansas. I was like, darn.
Dang it.
He would be electric in the
Yeah.
Oregon offense.
Oh, well, the other thing I heard was Cam Ward.
Yeah, that's a little surprising. I don't
I did
know,
hear
though.
that yesterday.
Although he could turn out to be like the Vernon Adams type. That could be interesting. I
Yeah.
have heard that.
There's quite a few names out there right now that could be really interesting next year.
Yeah, we're gonna have to wait as we get in, especially after. Okay, that was weird. He popped out and popped back in by himself. It'll be interesting. We're gonna have to wait till we have, especially after conference title, because that's when you're gonna start seeing people entering the portal more and more. So I think we'll have a better feel who's available.
Malik
Even more
Murphy
so.
or Arch Manning, who are you taking?
Of who?
Malik Murphy or Arch Manning?
Haven't really seen much of either, but I feel
Yeah, I
like
haven't seen
Arch
anything of
Manning
Arch
has a
Manning.
much higher ceiling than Malik does, but
Malik
based on
can,
like
well,
the
Malik
sample size,
runs. Malik can run too, though. So you kind of have your
yeah,
ups and downs. Depends on what Stein wants to do. Because Stein said he wanted to run his quarterback. He hasn't run a quarterback at all because he hasn't had to. So maybe he doesn't need it in this system.
Yeah.
and that may all be just how Bo is too, like in Stein's system, that Stein doesn't need to, but
Yeah. So
maybe Stein next year wants a more mobile quarterback where you could go get a Malik Murphy type of guy.
it's going to be interesting after conference titles again because we're going to see where everyone ends up, who goes to playoff. Once the playoff is released, you're going to see a lot of people enter the portal because they're going to like, I'm sitting out of this game. I'm not going to go to that. I'm going to go to the portal, whatever. NFL draft, etc. Then we're going to see a lot more names openly in the portal. Like Shuck, that's not a surprise he went to the portal now. He's injured. He's not playing, for the season. So he's done. So that's not a shock to see him go in. All right, Spaz,
But
guess
it'll
what?
still be
You get to call the
interesting to
segment. Was that?
Still be kind of interesting to see where he lands, especially with how bad that leg was. So,
Well, and it's his third transfer, so I think he has to go down a level, or he'd have to sit a year, wouldn't he? Or is he a grad transfer technically now?
I think he's a grad transfer.
Oh, okay. Then he
Yeah.
could just transfer. Okay. I was about to say, because this would be his third time. So. Well,
But
no, this
where
would
is
be
he gonna
his
go
third
that-
school, second time transfer. Sorry, let me correct that.
where is he going to go that he thinks is going to get him NFL ready is the question, and make him a starting quarterback.
LSU.
Let's
Shell
win
would
the
not
natty first, then
be,
worry about the portal.
He
I'm
would
with
not
Buzzard
be an
Lady.
LSU.
If we win the natty, I'm gonna get so inebriated. If we were to win the natty, I'm gonna get so inebriated I'll have to wake up the next morning just to recheck the score to make sure I wasn't hallucinating.
Right?
Right?
And yeah, I know. Sorry, dependent though, to ruin you. The Cam Rising is going back to Utah, he said already. But you could Michigan probably could try to go after him, but he said he's going back to Utah. He's gonna stay there.
Yeah.
I would take Rising if he was to transfer somewhere. I would definitely take Rising. He's a tank. All right.
In a heartbeat.
Give us a drum roll, someone, please. That's hand clapping, but I'll take that. It is the favorite time of the day. My most hated time of the day. Score prediction time. Because because Arizona State decided to kick a fucking field goal at the end there. They screwed me out of my win again.
Sean got it, didn't he?
No, I know, because Arizona State kicked that last field goal, they screwed me out of my win by like 2 points again.
Yep.
Every game I have lost this year is by like a point to 2 points every time.
Well, and you know what? I'm the only one that can catch Derek at this point, all right?
You are. Spaz started off like 2-0. He started off strong or whatever. Then Derek got the one absolutely correct. and then you've been coming on strong. So Derek is in the lead with 5 wins. You have 4. Spaz has 2, and I have 0. I hate this game so much. Which means, Sean, because you won it, you have to give the first score prediction. Just that's how we, keep rotating it. So everyone in the chat, give us your score prediction for this game. Ducks and the Beavers. I saw Tony, I think, give it earlier, but it's way back up here somewhere. Oh, there's Buzzer Boy.
You know what? I've got 49-28.
Oof.
49-28. Okay. That's 49-28 Beavers, right?
What the fuck?
What the fuck?
Well, you didn't say Oregon, so I want to make sure. I'm supposed to go next, so I will, and then Spaz will go because obviously Derek's not here, so I will just skip quickly. I feel very confident in this team, especially the defense, even more so, and revenge factor. I'm making Spaz wait, so I'll give this long explanation behind my score prediction.
Yeah, bring it Thursday.
I think they're going to try to run it up. I'm going to go 52-17 Ducks.
See, I agree with Buzzer. I think second or third string are going to give up some points there.
Yeah, it's kind of a tough one to pick because of the rivalry aspect of it. It's kind of a tough game to pick. I just like how the defense is.
47-21 Ducks.
47-21. All right. Oh, that's all right. 47-21. All right. So we have 49-28 Sean, 52-17 me, 47-21 Spaz. And then we will wait for Derek's. And the chat has 31-23, 42-31, 38-20. I that seems much more realistic, probably something like that. 38-20. I think Landing is out to make a point this year after last year's embarrassment.
Well, and especially after the loss to Washington, we've been all cylinders go.
Yeah, I and people can say, "Hey, well, who have you played since then?" It's like, well, yeah, but we're doing exactly what we're supposed to do to teams like that. It's like that's what we're supposed to do to teams like that. So that's a confidence thing too.
Yeah, we played Utah and we just blew them out. And Rice Eccles.
Yeah, and Utah had just come off, beating USC, which USC, that's nothing to run home about anymore. But
all right, guys. I will see you all Friday.
Yes, everyone. All right, Spaz, I'll let you get here, and we'll wrap it up here in a second.
All right, guys.
And you're 100% though correct, Tony. The Beavers' offense is probably their best defense. It's not that the Beavers' defense is like terrible, but they probably want to eat as much clock as possible.
They're probably going to want to pull like what they did in the third quarter against Washington, have a 9-minute drive, keep us off the field.
Yeah. I wouldn't blame, especially depending. It depends on how the game is going at that point too. If Oregon's up like 3 scores, they may not, they're not going to be at the luxury to do that either. Although last year,
Washington kind of was. It was a 12-point deficit at half.
Yeah.
And they still pulled that out with their first drive of the third quarter. I don't think it was smart, but that's also the Beavers for you. They ain't very smart.
Yeah, it's good. I'm surprised we haven't had any Beaver trolls in here tonight. I'm actually surprised by that. Well,
that is surprising, especially knowing what this week is.
Yeah, I know, right? Any final thoughts for the civil war. Hopefully, not the final civil war. And as I always tell people, yes, it will always be the Civil War. We aren't doing no name
100%.
changes around here.
I mean, for me, it's just, we're out to make a statement. We're out to go get revenge against Washington. So it's time to make a statement against another big team, and just like we made against Utah.
Well, that's a good question. We talked about this. I think it was. Maybe it was last week. Maybe it was last Tuesday. It might have been the prior post game before that. I can't remember. And we were trying to determine, would we rather have played a top 10 Beaver team and then a top 10, probably somewhere around say 8-9 ranked Beaver team and then an 8-9 Washington team.
Yeah, we were talking about that on Saturday.
Yeah, or would we play rather with Oregon State losing, play still number 16, as it shows here, they're ranked number 16 still, and then take on potentially number 4. Who knows? After this weekend, they're going to be probably number 3 or 2, depending on how that game goes. They'll most likely they'd be 3 at best. They'd be 3 at best.
Yeah,
because the winner of Ohio State Michigan is going to just move up or stay the same or go up to number 1. So they'll just slide up 1 spot probably.
Well, I don't feel like Washington deserves to be in the 4 spot either, but that's also me. But I also get there undefeated, so. But I don't know. For me, I would have rather faced top 10, 2 top 10 teams back to back, because then there's that argument of that people are saying now of well, what about Bama? What about Texas? They're 1 loss. At that point, it's just like what you and Spaz were saying. Is what happens at that point. The 2 undefeateds obviously get in, if there are 2. And then what do you do with the 1 loss? Either conference champions or 1 loss teams that are there.
I think it actually helps a little bit having Washington jump Florida State, and I know they said it shouldn't have had anything to do with the quarterback thing. I think it's the fact that really Florida State's been hanging on because of a win over LSU week 1, which is still not a bad win, but that's all they're holding on to.
I mean, at this point, it is. Like, even if you beat Louisville in the ACC championship,
Washington's beaten Oregon State and Oregon. So they beat the number 6 ranked Oregon. So Washington has automatically better strength in that category.
And that's just a fact. Like, Washington's beat 2 top 10 teams at this point. They beat, I guess Oregon State was 11. So they beat us at number 6, and then basically a top 10 team in Oregon State, whereas Florida State has only really beaten LSU. And I mean, even if you go in and beat Louisville in the ACC championship, which I don't think they will, now that Jordan Travis is down, you really are just holding on to that LSU win against the SEC as your saving grace to get into the CFP.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, it's going to be interesting, especially following this week where everyone shakes out, especially going into conference title. That'll tell us a lot better, I think, on how they value what team played what, how they played those teams. And that'll give a better indicator of, well, if this team wins, they're either probably out and this team's going to I think we'll see a lot more clarity next week. Right now, I'm fine staying at number 6. I think it's a prime spot.
Yeah, by all means, like, number 6 isn't bad. Like, we've been there for 3 weeks now. That win against Washington.
No one's jumped us either. So
So it's obvious like the CFP sees what we've done a whole lot, that it's a whole lot better than what Texas or Alabama has done as the other 2 1-loss teams that people are making arguments for.
Yep. Well, we're gonna have to see because it's gonna be exciting. As noted, we have number 16 Oregon State at number 6 Oregon this Friday, Black Friday, 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 8:30 Eastern on Fox for hopefully not the last civil war in the rivalry. Hopefully not. Hopefully they get that figured out by the end of the year and get a 5-year extension, just like Wazoo and Washington did for the Apple Cup. That'd be great. That would make the fan bases very happy, I think.
Give Oregon State a paycheck at this point to come play us.
Yeah, I think there's so much to work out, but just do whatever Washington did and move on.
Yeah, I agree. Keep it going. Don't let it die.
Well, all right, everyone. It was lovely to see you tonight. All the usual, especially Dependent Fanatic. Thank you for coming in. Buzzer Baby. Tony Barber, as usual. He's always here. It was great. We had Mark Millers and a couple other people. I'm scrolling through, but I can't scroll back that far quickly enough. But we thank everyone here that came in the chat. Appreciate it. Make sure you hit that like button. Helps a lot. Consider subscribing if you like the Oregon content, especially other Big Ten people, as we're coming for you next year. So we will see you this Friday night. Oh God, what time? 9:30 Pacific. 9:30 Pacific, and 11:30 Central for the Oregon Duck post-game show. So make sure to join in the post-game show this Friday night following the Civil War. Win or lose, we will either be here sad or happy, and we will see you guys. See you guys then, including you, Sean, hopefully.
I'll be here.
There we go. Have a good night, everyone.